Right guys, today I'm going to be walking you through exactly how I got started in my career, how we built up to where we are today with having our own gym, having 150 clients who regularly come to us, come and train, all who lose weight, all who love, well, I hope they love it, but yeah, look, that's how we got to this position where we are today. My name's Tom, I'm a gym owner based in Nottingham. I work primarily with clients who need to lose weight, who either need to tone up, who probably haven't exercised in a very long time and are just wanting to feel better. We work with, like I said, 150 clients at the moment. We've got a team of 9 members of staff, ranging from full-time coaches, ranging from admin, you know, me in there as the owner. Basically, I'm going to walk you through exactly how we got started and just give you a bit of scope to what we've done over the last basically 3 years to get to where we are today. Okay, so I'm going to take you back right to the very start. So I'm going to label this video as 3 different phases. We've got phase 1, which is PT Tom. We got phase 2, which is the transition to owning a gym, as you can see behind me, and phase 3, which was actually basically scaling and building myself out of Tom the PT into more Tom the business owner. All right, so we're going to start right from the very start. Phase 1, PT Tom. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't want to be a PT from the start of my life. Like, I've come from a swimming background. I have always been a swimmer. I've always been into sport. I love sport. Like, I've done sport since, well, forever. So like, I knew I would have always worked in sport. Doing what? I don't know. I thought, you know, I was going to be a swimming coach. I enjoyed swimming. If you take me back to swimming days, like, it took me a while to enjoy swimming. I don't think it was until I started coaching a little bit more that actually I began to enjoy my swimming that little bit more. You know, I could see stuff from the other side. So I was convinced, because, you know, I wasn't good enough to be a professional swimmer. I wasn't good enough to be a professional athlete of any sense, that I was going to be a swimming coach. And, you know, did all my coaching courses, did all my swimming teaching courses, then got to uni. I went to Nottingham Trent, as I've got written down here, and then realised I didn't want to be a swimming teacher or a swimming coach. It's a few things that got into that. Maybe it was the money, maybe it was, and again, you can earn loads of money as a swimming coach, but I don't think it had that clear pathway. I think I'd been put off a little bit by coaching children for such a long time, and I wanted to move into more coaching adults. So definitely that played a little bit, but also I think just, I don't know, I was forced my hand with COVID a little bit. So basically I went to Nottingham Trent, did 3 years as an undergrad studying sports science and coaching before moving into a master's in exercise physiology. Look, whether I needed that or not, don't know. Definitely developed me, met loads of people. You know, it got me all the connections for all my staff here that work with me and work as a team. So it definitely played a massive role. But was it essential? Probably not. You could definitely do it without it. However, for me, with zero doubt, I would do uni all over again for what it is. But anyway, studied that, still didn't know what I was doing. Moved to my master's because I still didn't know what I was doing, especially in exercise physiology. It was at that point that COVID hit. Okay, 2020, I was still doing my master's at that point. I think, if I'm thinking about it, I handed in my master's at the peak of the summer lockdown, so that would have been 2020, or maybe just before we were coming out of lockdown, 2021. I remember doing my master's in my room every single day. Like, this is dull as anything, but it probably helped me out, gave me a little bit more time to put my thoughts into actual actions. My master's was in the effects of depleted self-control, and it was actually really interesting, and it does come up a lot in my coaching. But anyway, did that. That's when I basically got started during COVID. I've completed it, and I was like, right, well, now what? So I stuck around in Nottingham. I became a self-employed PT. Initially started working for a company. I won't name it. It didn't really help me at all, if I'm being completely honest. Got no help. But realised very quickly that I enjoyed personal training very, very quickly. I enjoyed being around people. That's what it was. It was being around people and being able to speak to people, speak to adults, understand their lives, chat, see results, get people moving and then actually enjoying their training again. But I was a self-employed PT, so no salary. I remember my first salary, my first paycheck I got for a month was what, like £120. So, you know, paying my rent for £120 and paying everything. Thankfully I had saved and I had, worked and saved from my swimming teaching. So I had a few £1,000s in the bank just saved up, thankfully, because those first 2 months it would have not survived. So the first couple of months, I remember making £120 or £140, then up to like £500. Then I had a few months sort of hovering around the £1,000 a month mark. And I moved away quite quickly from working with that company because I was getting nothing from them at all. But anyway, so COVID PT, I then, as I was moving through, started to develop as a personal trainer, was probably working with around 20 clients at that time, roughly for about £25 to £30 an hour, so nothing crazy, typical low-end personal training rates. It was at that point where I first then met my first mentor, which was Carl Muir. So Carl, if you're watching this, thanks for you. He very much opened my eyes to the package system and selling the result rather than just selling my time. And that was a game changer. I remember the first time he said to put my prices up, I was like, oh my God. We went from like £25 an hour all the way up to like £50, £60 an hour, and it worked. Without a doubt, we were selling the result rather than selling my time. And people got incredible results. People got much, much better results from working with me and working with the program that I was selling them, and it was brilliant. And we developed through that a very refined system of coaching, doing personal one-to-one or two-to-one personal training in people's homes. I would drive around in my van, all the kit in the back of my van. Some of my earlier clients used to laugh at my van, but it had everything in it that you needed. I'd turn up at your house, you'd train, have a great session, and that'd be that. And then I would do your nutrition, and I would do all the extra accountability on top of that, just to keep you going, on those. So say if I was training someone twice a week, just to kind of keep you going in the background in between. So that kind of was about a year, maybe six to 9 months worth of building my personal training hours. I was probably doing around 50 hours of PT a week, or 40 to 50 hours of PT a week, ranging from about £40 to £70 an hour on that. So depending on, I would sign a client up, and sort of every 5 or so clients, I would put my prices up just a little bit more. All right, so got up to around the £70 a session mark, around that point. And again, we weren't selling by the session, we were selling by the results. And that's then when, at that point during COVID, that group training was finally allowed. It was outside, but group training was finally allowed. And which is where we got to the outdoor boot camp. So I've written it down here, the outdoor boot camp and group PT. This was the big game changer for me. Being able to help and see 20, 30 people at once, and it just be me, was like mind-blowing. And I was limited because I couldn't do that to start with the one-to-one stuff, just purely because of COVID. When I was turning up, I couldn't have 20 people turning up at one house, otherwise I think the police would have had me quite quickly. But yeah, that was a game changer. So we used the local park in Nottingham, and it was brilliant. Had the first summer of people turning up. It was packed, it was amazing. And those outdoor boot camps in that summer was some of the best times. I loved it. I'd always go for a pint afterwards. I don't even like beer, but I'd go and have a cider after the session, and it was amazing. So we did that, and we were probably averaging around 20 to 30 people. I'd do one session pretty much 3-4 times a week. So it was on top of my one-to-one personal training. All right. And so that really was, in essence, phase one of what I was doing. Within a year, we'd basically gone from having never personal trained in my life to having a full boot camp and having 40, 50 hours of PT to do in a week. So it was quite a quick development. On top of that, I then, after working with Carl, moved to M10 and Mark Coles in particular. So again, Mark, if you're watching this, that was another absolute game changer. It was just leveling up my service to being, the outdoor boot camp guy to a professional. This is me, this is my business, this is where we're at. So this here from 2022 all the way up to, we did two winter boot camps outdoors, was probably the space of about 18 months. So 2021, at back end of 2021, all the way up to 2023, 2022, was a good year and a half of 2 winters worth of boot camps and outdoor PT, and it was great. but it only got so far. And at this point was the bit that I was starting to see the issues with one-to-one. It was taking up a hell of a lot of my time, a lot of my effort. You know, again, I was stuck with only being able to coach a certain amount of people per time. And the big thing, honestly, the big bit for me was this here. It was outdoors. I hated it in the wintertime. I absolutely hated it. And you know, look, I grinned and bared it, and I always would turn up with a smile, and you know, but just getting wet and muddy is just not for me. And there was only so much we could do, so which is where then we got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore, and it was starting to affect me. I don't think I wanted to do it, and I was like, I don't want to carry on doing this. So it's either going to be I'm going to stop, or we're going to open up a gym, and that's kind of led us to where we are for phase 2. Okay, so phase 2, this is actual now TBH Bootcamps rather than Tom Buckle, the PT. So phase 2, this is basically the stage where I decided, I was like, look, I'm sick of outdoor boot camps. I want a gym, or I want an indoor space where we can train. So I'm going to take you from the time when we started looking, which was around the summer of 2022. It's obviously 2025 now. So we started looking in summer 2022. I think I need to double check that, but that's about right. We found the place where we wanted probably about 2 months in, so quite quickly. However, it took a long time to get, one, everything improved, the change of use, agree all the leases, agree all the terms. I mean, I could not believe how long that stuff took. It blew my mind how you can send an email 1 week saying, yeah, we want something, and then you don't get an email back from the solicitor until a week later. So that was quite a big learning curve on that. But once that was all sorted, we basically went from, like I said, this outdoor boot camp just at a random park to look, we've got a spot, we're a professional business, this is us with the sign out, we've got everything in here, we've got the kit. It was a very big shift, and it was a very important shift because we went from basically an amateur business to a professional business. It might not have been the nicest gym in the world at the time when we first opened it, but it was a real thing. It felt real, it felt physical. We had a base rather than just turn up at the park. We had TBH Bootcamps, and that was that. So why we started, like I said, it was because mainly I didn't want to be outside. That was probably the main thing. I felt like we needed to do it to scale. I didn't want to just be the outdoor boot camp guy, but mainly it was just so we can start helping more, could help more and more people. You know, people were put off by having to train in the winter months in England. That's not a fun thing to do. So we wanted to help more people. We wanted to grow. We wanted to make more money to invest back into the business and keep it growing and keep helping more people. It's a bit of a circle, in the same way as a vicious circle. We wanted to keep the momentum going. So how we got this going? Look, first things first, I saved literally every single penny that I made during my COVID time, because it helped that COVID was happening because I couldn't go and spend any money. So there was no nights out, no drinking, no foods out. I remember, this is the funniest thing, my treat of the week, this is gonna sound extreme, on a Sunday morning, me and Emily's my partner, we would walk down to the local Tesco Express, and my treat of the week was, I'm gonna get a meal deal. And I remember looking forward to that meal deal all week. And I used to have the breakfast triple, full fat Red Bull, and McCoy's salt and vinegar. And it was the best thing ever. But that was my treat, and that was £3 at the time. So, you know, I had to save a hell of a lot of money, probably thinking about it. You know, if I'll drop some figures in a document sort of supporting how much we spent on this. But, you know, I did save a lot of money. So it needed to be done. I also had to ask for investments from people who wanted to support us. So that was also another thing, you know, going around and creating partnerships and understanding what partnerships were going to help us. And, you know, I was very lucky that I had some extremely supportive people. Again, the types of people that I met during my personal training era were instrumental in growing TBH Bootcamps, and basically transitioning it from this outdoor bootcamp, this one-to-one PT style session, to a actual business. So that was huge. So without a doubt, one of the main things that I will take from the last few years was just those connections about who you speak to, how you speak to people, the questions, finding out about their lives. This is why I loved personal training, just because you could find out within like 3 sessions everything about their life, understand what made them tick, understand how they could become successful, understand like what they wanted to do with their lives, and it was brilliant. And that basically was what we used to get to this stage where we had the gym. All right, now opening the gym, oh God, that was, if I think of my adult life, and I'm only, what am I, 27 now, that was the worst, that was the hardest part of my life. And me and Emily, God, we were stressed out of our minds during that period. It was, you know, we signed for the gym on December the 1st, 2022. The target was opening in January, so we wanted to have it done within a month, you know, fully kitted out, fully painted, fully all the build out done. We obviously didn't make that, clearly. Steve, one of my business partners and big time mentor, he made a bet that very first day that we signed. He was like, you're not gonna have it done for then. You know, he's done all kinds of things, he knew. And I was like, nah, Steve, honestly, mate, we'll get it done in a month. Obviously not. And yeah, so that was a stressful period. Organising builders, organising electricians, regulations, fire alarm, you know, you name it. I'd never done it, not had a clue. So we literally just winged it the whole way through. And look, we got it done, we got it open. It was horrible, but we got it done. You know, all the painting, everything sorted, done and dusted, ready to open for, I think it was 22nd of January, 2023. So 2 years ago, basically, about a week ago. So 22nd of January, around that mark, we were open, we were ready to go on a very skeleton setup. You know, we had, if I've got some pictures, I'll flash them up now. Very little kit, very little stuff. Basically what I had in my van, we then just put it in the gym. So, you know, it wasn't the best at that point, but it was enough to keep people dry, keep people out the winter outdoor elements, and we were ready to go. All right, and so that then was that. You know, I thought, great, we're open, we're sorted, we can crack on. It was still just me at that point, well, me and Emily running everything. I did all the coaching. Emily helped me out with the marketing and the admin and like that, because most of our clients that we'd found and we'd got across the last few years were either referrals or we just found on the local Facebook groups in our area, in the Nottinghamshire area. So people would put up a post saying like, oh, I'm looking for a personal trainer. I'd always be the first one to message them and say, look, I can help you, I can come to your house, I can coach you. It was exactly the same. That's how we would grow through this. I was alongside this through the help of Mark Coles and his program, running quite a lot of organic Instagram, Facebook. So I was posting every single day. And that got me to the point where we could open with about 50 clients at the gym, enough money to stay afloat, enough money coming in to not be losing too much money on those first few months. But yeah, in reality, those first few months were very hard. I was having to PT a lot to kind of make the money to keep the gym afloat. And that was the main issue, basically, is we needed to scale the gym, but also not me have to work literally every single hour of the day, which is tough. So that first few months was building more kit, again, because like in reality, your clients don't need all the fanciest kit. Yes, they need the essentials, but the stuff you see behind me, we didn't have all that at the start. We had the bare bones, you know, we had a ski erg, we had a rower, we had all the kettlebells, we had a load of dumbbells, we had all that stuff that you needed. The sleds we had ready to go. But beyond that, not much else. And it was fine, you know, it got the job done. Moving through the first few months, we survived the winter. You know, that's just always a hard time as a PT. You guys probably all know that. Got to around April, and this is where the big shift happens. We realized that the money wasn't going up fast enough to stay where we needed to be, which is where we had to kind of make that decision of, right, who's going to be the next mentorship that we're going to work with? And that's where we came along to Gym Launch. It's totally changed our lives, totally changed the whole way we think about business as a whole. And actually, this is where at this stage, we then began making our first key hires to allow me to move into more of like a business development role and run it. I was still coaching, still doing everything, but like less just me in it, more out of it, trying to push everything on and grow it. So we met gym launch, and that's when then the scaling began to happen, because if we didn't, we wouldn't have made any money and we'd have been out of business. So basically that's the issue we saw, is that we weren't making enough money to keep it going, to keep it growing. And so because of that, the key hires and the marketing side of things, that was the bit that needed to change. And this is where I'm going to come on to for phase 3 with the growth side of things. But key lessons with this is the research going into it. So how long, your time frames of how long it's going to be, that blew my mind. I couldn't believe how long it was going to take to actually build a gym and actually get it set up. And like I said to Steve, I thought I was just going to have to walk in and just cruise through it. The second bit is how much it cost. Like, look, we did it on a budget. We very much did it on a budget. We didn't have to take out too many loans with stuff. Like it wasn't too crazy. I know a lot of gym owners have gone bankrupt basically just by overdoing the fit out, which is what we wanted to avoid. Especially because I was used to coaching on bare bones equipment anyway. I'd always been used to it. I'd never had the luxury of having lots of kit, but we made it work. So definitely that's an interesting thing to think about. And then the final bit is just how hard it was. Like, it was a slog, a proper slog. Worth it, when you walk into your own gym every day, but like the early mornings, the late nights, the building it, the painting it, the fitting it, the finding the equipment, going to B&Q every single night to find things for it was nuts how hard that was. But again, we made it happen. And that's the key thing, is we would never have let it fail. I would have died in here to make this work, but it was still very hard. But anyway, this happened. This was from, like I said, December 22, where we got the keys 2 months before. And this gym launch here, where we signed up with them, was in April 23. So about a 5-6 month period. Very key. Anyway, time for phase 3. Right, so phase 3, probably the most critical phase. I mean, look, they're all critical. Just starting is probably the most critical bit, but like phase 3 is the most critical in terms of longevity and for where we're at now. So phase 3, I'm counting from when we started with gym launch in April 23 all the way to where we are now, which is basically February 25. So year and a half or year and 3/4, around that time. This has felt like the longest amount of time for me. It really has felt like a very long 18 months. And it's purely because of, if you think back to like when you're a child, like every single day feels like such a long day because you're learning so much. This for me has just been pure learning across the whole of the 18 months. I've basically transitioned, which is just mental for me to think about, from a full-time student to start with, when I literally had no idea what I wanted to do, was just happy going out every single night, to a personal trainer, fully booked, to then a gym owner. Now not just a gym owner, like I'm running and managing people, which is just crazy. So I'll walk you through how this works. I want to start back at key hires first. So Marcus was my first key hire. I'll say that now. Marcus was brilliant. He was my first coach. He was an awesome guy. Me and him clicked instantly. I loved having Marcus around. He was very important for getting me off the floor. And actually, do you know what's really cool is bringing in a coach probably better than me. And it's not me saying like, oh, I'm the best coach ever, but like having someone who, that first session was so scary. Letting him coach everyone, and everyone, I do remember it, like everyone's like, oh, who's this guy? Like, and he was so good. And Marcus doesn't coach here anymore. He's moved to Manchester with his partner. Love and life, great coach, awesome guy. But that was the first key hire that we made, just so that I could get away from it and move more into a sales, marketing, just the stuff that is so essential to growing, that I would not have been able to do if I'm just constantly coaching the whole time. So that's number one. We are now a team of 9. So we've got myself and Katie, who do all the front end stuff, which is any new members that are coming in, making sure they're okay, helping them out, making sure they're picking the right memberships for them. We've then got coach-wise, we've got Phoebe, Jenny, Sophie. I obviously coach as well a little bit still, just here and there. Not very often, probably like twice a month, if that. Emily on marketing, Sophie and Jay, who are currently doing all of our lead nurture, and then Steve, who also helps us with admin and just general direction and guidance. So it's a big team. Amazing team. I say a big team, it's a very small team, but it feels like a big team for me, especially for I'm watching everything and kind of making it all work to a point. But anyway, the key issues that we had, like I said, on phase 2 was around this part, the marketing and bringing in new members. Look, we knew we were great, but it's getting people in the door. That's the issue. It's the same, and you know, like if you think of the first time you start training, just turning up is the hardest bit. So this was the important bit that Gym Launch taught us about, just creating an offer that is so good. It's so hard to say no to. So we run a 6-week challenge and an 8-week challenge as our main 2 starting programs. It's purely designed to get insane results, and it works. It is so good. Everyone gets good results. Everyone turns up. You know, we're taking people who've never trained before to turning up 3 times a week, every single week, and losing weight, or putting on muscle, and actually liking it. That's the important thing. And this is what we've created with our culture, that once they've got the results, they then enjoy it and want to stay. And that's the best bit. But the issue was getting them in the door. So this is when we then move from organic, just organic reach outs, referrals, to paid lead generation. So moving on to Facebook, paid ads, spending a lot of money on paid ads, but it's worked. All right, so we've gone from like 40 clients now to, I think we've got around the 140 mark at the moment, and we grow every single month. So, we're talking about putting in an extra 100 clients and quadrupling revenue to be able to then put back into the business, help more people, help basically everyone achieve better results. So that's the general time frame and what has happened in terms of scaling on the back end. But this was the key issue, and then it basically opened up to this, which is retention and actually keeping clients. And the way we think about retention is, obviously it's important you get the result first. Look, if you do not get the result, you're not going to want to stick. So we put so much effort into that front end program to make sure that all of our clients get the best possible result with our help. We're helping with nutrition, we're helping with accountability, we're helping with fitness. Those are our 3 key pillars for starting any single person, and you won't be able to do it if you don't do those things. But then beyond that, once you've got the result, it's this community element to it. So we run monthly challenges, we run dress up days, we run nights out. It's probably the stuff that most gyms are doing, but we push people to do them. And we know that once people turn up and get involved with the community side of things, you're going to want to stay, because then your whole life is the gym, which is, your friends are there, your family, I say your family, you bring your family along, you're getting good results, you're enjoying it, you're feeling good, you're still obviously getting the benefits of those actual physical results and mental results. But if that's part of your life, part of your identity, great. Then it's going to make you want to stay super long term. So we've got the marketing side of things now at this point to a point where, yes, we know what to do. We know how to bring people in. We're now moving into more of an organic. So it's funny how it shifts back to the other side. But these are our main areas now. Building the retention, building the results, getting even better results, continually developing our staff. Like this here results comes from us. So, when we're going back to these key hires, now we're making sure that we're developing the team. Every single week we do 2 or 3 coaching meetings to make sure that all the staff and all of us coaches know what we're doing, are always getting better. We're training up new members of staff who maybe aren't as qualified, aren't as experienced as us, and making sure we're all at that top level of our game to continually develop and push our clients even further. Because, again, if we get better results, people want to stay. If they enjoy it, even better. So the key hires and the kind of results are the thing that has driven us to where we are now. Where we are going, well, we just want to keep growing. That's the whole point. We want to help more people. We want to see more people getting fitter. I think for me personally, it's obviously good. Look, we know that the UK is an overweight population. We know that. That's not going to change. The bit that I love, and I knew from the start that I like, is seeing people who hate exercising, which is quite a lot of people, because most people have quite a bad experience with training, is seeing them do really well and seeing them enjoy it. Like, I've got a personal love for high rocks at the moment, and it's quite common at the moment. Everyone seems to like it, but the proudest moment for me as a gym owner and a coach was that first high rocks we did, where I took a group of, like, I think it was 10, 11 of us, and some of the girls and the guys in there that we took, and I just was looking at them doing high rocks like, how the hell are you doing this? You know, just not that I doubted them, but like, what, from where you were to start and seeing you go around in an hour and 40, hour and 30 of just pure pain, and you're just doing it, and then getting to the end and loving it, it was the best moment ever. And like, now we make it a thing, you know, like we're trying to push people to go beyond the result. Because again, for me and now for my training as well, I'm not bothered about really to a point what I look like. Yeah, look, I've got to look okay. I'm still a coach. I can't just be sitting around with a massive fat belly and, you know, not feeling terrible. But I like the competitiveness. I like the extra stuff. I like the fun things. You know, we run challenge sessions. We run educational seminars. We run nutrition help. We run all the competitions. You know, we just ran our first engine trials, which is like our little in-house competition. We had 40 people do it. Amazing. That's the stuff that we're putting all of our focus into now to keep you guys and to keep all of our clients focused. And honestly, that's probably where I would say if you're thinking about doing this, that's where the focus needs to be on, and just keeping it interesting. Because, like, you know, there's only so many ways I can say eat your meal plan. Like, you know, you've got to eat it. Yeah, fine. There's a lot of psychology that goes into it, and we will keep developing that. But the thing that's going to keep you focused the most is actually you enjoying the process, and that's going to come through community, through enjoying it. Well, I say enjoying it through competitiveness, through pushing, and actually feeling part of something. And that's what we want to try and build as a team of like staff, but also a team of clients as well. So where we're going, continuous growth, pushing people on, seeing it grow. But yeah, that's to where we are now. We've gone through the 3 different phases. We've covered, I think, just looking through my notes here, we've covered everything. If you're someone that's like thinking about doing this, my main things are, 1, make sure you've saved up. You know, you need money. That is an absolute, like, I can't believe how much money it costs to do this. 2, make sure you're ready to put in the time. You know, I'm happy. Like, again, I started this when I was 24. So I had unlimited time. And like I said, I would have died in this gym. I would have slept in this gym if I had to get it done. So, you know, I wouldn't have recommended doing it if I had a child. You know, I know I don't have children, but like, there's no way. So make sure you've got the time, or at least the brain space and the help to go for it. I think the last one is make sure that you've got the support, but not the crossover. And when I say crossover, like, you need to have the partnerships, but only if the partnerships are actually helping you. Like, I wouldn't have been able to do this if I had a partnership where, you know, we were splitting money half and half. There's no way, because there's not enough money in it to be able to do that. You need people supporting you. My parents, Emily's parents, have been insane. Like, again, no way would have been, look, we might have got it done, might have taken double the amount of time to get it set up. Clients supporting us, giving us that almost like, I want to think, permission to take our time with it. They knew it wasn't going to be perfect from the start, but they let us almost make those mistakes. They trusted us, but that has come from the partnerships. And that's why, again, probably the main lesson from this is just build the trust within you and your community. Like, if you're a PT with 30, 40 clients, it's amazing who you've got in there to speak to ask advice to. You know, realistically, if you're charging 60, 70 pound a session and you're training someone 3 times a week, like, you're talking 200 quid a week. They're going to have money, that they will have been and done it. They will have understood kind of what it takes to get to a certain level of, you know, ultimately it is income to be able to start this, but also what it has taken to drive to make those connections, how to make the connections, how to speak to people. You know, the conversations that I've had with very uncomfortable conversations, you know, now in me is more of a kind of sales role. You know, I have to ask the difficult questions, but you do it, and it makes you grow. It forces you to grow. It's an insane thing. And this is where we are now. Again, by no means are we perfect. There's a hell of a lot to do. We've got to work on this retention. We've got to keep working on the marketing. For me, my big thing that I'm working on is making sure I am the best person and I am able to train my own staff to get them to the top level. Like, at where we are at the moment, Katie has just come on board as helping, with the front end, and it's been amazing. Oh my God, it's been hard, but amazing seeing and teaching someone to be able to sell and sell in the right environment and be able to sell through helping people, with their transformation. So yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, it hasn't been a long time at all. It's been a busy 2.5, 3 years. If you want to ask me anything, if you want to question anything, please send it over. It's been a long video. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. But yeah, guys, if there's anything you need, I'll probably drop a little document alongside with some key details and stuff in there. But if there's anything you need, drop me a message, drop me a comment, and I'll happily speak to all of you.